All right, well, obviously, thank you everybody for showing up today, all those of you in the crowd. As you probably already know, my name is Hunter. I'm the community manager over here at Arbitrum or Off-Chain Labs. And today we are joined by none other than B.Protocol. Yaron, specifically the CEO and protocol architect of B.Protocol, and Aitan, the head of ecosystem development. Guys, how are we doing today?
Yeah, we're doing fine. Thanks for having us here again.
Awesome. Yeah, no, of course. I think it's always a very interesting, like we have AMAs all the time, but definitely having them with different types of projects and teams is what makes them very interesting. And obviously, B Protocol being one of those teams that's definitely going to make it more interesting because I don't think we've had a conversation quite like like relating to like backstops and DeFi primitives in quite a while. So before we do get into all that fun stuff, though, could we get a little bit of a background about what you guys have kind of done within crypto or even generally before you kind of got to B Protocol?
Sure, Yaron, do you wanna start?
Yeah. So actually, before entering blockchain, so I finished my PhD in computer science around 2015, and around actually 2016, yeah, I was starting doing postdoctoral research. Actually, back then, I was kind of wondering if I should pursue something more conventional like AI, but somehow know, got to hear about Bitcoin and blockchain in general. So actually, yeah, my first meeting, with blockchain was an academic framework. I met Loi Lu, and later we founded the Cyber Network. But prior to that, we did kind of semi-academic project, which was actually the first decentralized mining pool on Ethereum. So this is like our first live product already 2016. After that, in 2017, we started Kyber Network. It was one of the leading decentralized exchanges back in the pre-Uniswap days. And yeah, then so there in B.Protocol, in a Kyber Network, was CTO and co-founder, and then end of 2019, early 2020, in the peak of the previous bear market, started B.Protocol.
So I'm coming from a different background. Started my crypto journey early 2014. Was one of the co-founders of Lazuz, which was basically a carpooling application on top of the Bitcoin blockchain back then. Yeah, and since then, lots of happened. Been in and out of a few crypto projects and joined Yaron mid 2020, basically to be the growth in B Protocol, which is what I'm doing currently.
Great. Yes. I mean, obviously both you guys have a pretty good background already within the crypto space, which is always exciting to see, especially with, how much is blowing up nowadays. Usually you have a lot of people kind of coming from Web 2. But what kind of brought you guys then to creating or really kind of like, spending all your time on B Protocol, like, a product like B Protocol rather than more of like I don't know, like the example you mentioned you were doing Kyber before. Aiton, you said you were doing, the the I don't know how to pronounce it. I heard you say it, but I don't want to butcher the name. That's with an L. But what kind of brought you guys from where you were doing before now to doing B Protocol?
Yeah, so actually Kyber, was one of the first DeFi projects. So back there, we are doing a lot of on-chain market making. So actually the transition for liquidations and doing risk analysis for lending platforms, was quite a natural step. Very quickly, doing algo trading not only on decentralized venues, but also centralized one. It was very easy to see the inefficiency in liquidation process. Then, in 2020, in the peak of the previous bear market, it was the Black Thursday, where maker liquidations got screwed. almost triggered the emergency shutdown. So yeah, it was mostly about trying to solve an inefficiency and to build a DeFi Lego primitive, which is very much missing currently in DeFi. So yeah, which was very needed in the previous bear market and now also in the in the current one.
Awesome. And Aiton, you as well, or was your kind of you coming to B.Protocol a different journey, a different path?
Yeah, so I was community focused for a long time, even before crypto. Was actually was involved in building up communities in real life, both around educational projects and community projects. And then early 2014, we basically created one of the first DAOs, all around developing a carpooling application. So yeah, and since then, basically building communities, creating partnerships was kind of my main focus in whatever I did, whether it's in Web3 or out of Web3. So yes, B protocol is kind of an integrated layer on top of other protocols, based on partnerships. Basically, it was a good fit, and I knew Yaron because we were working in 2017 shortly on a proof of concept with the Toyota Research Institute in the US, kind of playing around with mobility services and blockchains. So we knew each other from early back then, just before they created Kyber. Yeah, so once Johan asked me if I would like to join in, it seemed like a perfect match. Perfect match. So here we are.
I love those kind of stories, right? Where it's like, you guys knew each other previously, you were working on something together back then, kind of go off and do your own thing, and then a couple years later, you're like, screw it, let's, obviously we're the dream team, so let's get back together, combine minds, and build this new product. I really like that. But
Um,
oh, I think Aiton might have gotten kicked somehow. Let me see if I can get him back up here. Oh, there we go. There we go. Aiton, you good?
yeah, I'm back here. Is there a way to share a screen over an AMA stage? I can't find a button for that.
I don't think there is for
Yeah.
the
All right.
stage.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
If you did have something you did want to share with the chat, though, you can put it in the AMA chat and people can take a look at it down there. Otherwise,
Okay.
obviously, on the recording, I can actually put this up
Yeah.
for people
Okay.
who watch it after the fact.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll do it later.
Well, I mean, that being said, I mean, I think it only makes sense now to kind of get into what B protocol is, and what role or what problem does it solve within DeFi.
Yaron, do you want to take it or should I?
Yeah, go ahead, Leighton.
Yeah. So in one sentence, basically, B protocol is a liquidation engine for DeFi. So basically, handling liquidations, across DeFi lending, basically lending platforms, but any protocol that relies on liquidation mechanics, for its health. So this is kind of the one sentence probably regarding B protocol. We're implementing user-based backstop pools to basically provide liquidity, which is dedicated for liquidations. By doing that, we create a stronger safety net for platforms and their lenders to have a better liquidation mechanics in place. We can dive a bit deeper into that later on probably. And basically, by doing that, we also facilitate kind of better capital efficiency for the borrowers on the lending platforms. So basically, it's kind of another a stronger safety net, another safety layer for lending platforms. That's basically kind of the essence of that. And I think currently with the liquidity contraction that we see around DeFi in the last few weeks, probably 2 months, post Luna USD kind of story, but even before that, what we've noticed, that liquidity contraction hits hardest on the alt L1s and L2s. As Ethereum kind of mainnet stayed kind of strong enough, or at least with enough liquidity. As liquidations currently, the basic mechanics for liquidations, the norm became having a flash loan liquidation bot. So you will have a bot to liquidate any risky position or risky debt uh, on your platform. But as liquidity becomes thinner, indexes, these bots can just do not operate. They do not operate as intended. Is there's just the slippage for the liquidation is just too big. So basically, having this kind of upfront liquidity, which is dedicated for liquidations, kind of facilitate liquidations with much less risk, and enables platforms to grow and scale their TVL and activity without dependent on the DEX liquidity, basically.
Yeah, thanks for that explainer there. I think if you're into crypto, most of us understand kind of how like at least on a very high level how liquidations work in general. Especially since if you're an Arbitrum user, there's actually a lot of leverage products on Arbitrum. So if you ever use one of them, then chances are you might have been liquidated yourself. Hopefully not. But like, can we kind of go a little bit deeper? For example, like maybe are you guys able to explain like what a backstop is? I know again there's a lot of terminology in crypto, and I think that's one that maybe isn't thrown around too often. So could you give a little explanation of what that is and maybe how it applies?
Yes, maybe I'll take it. So, but basically, when market goes down and you want to close a user debt, a user whose account is now no longer over collateralized, you want to immediately sell his collateral in the open market. Now, unfortunately, and specifically in early stage ecosystems such as Arbitrum, DEX liquidity, or in general, exchange liquidity is not always enough to close and to absorb the collateral in one shot. So in traditional market, a backstop is kind of a consortium of algo traders who are committed to take user collateral at market price and then immediately repay the debt, and then they have clever algorithms to get rid of the collateral. In B.Protocol, we try to take this approach to the decentralized world, and obviously in decentralized world, we try to replace professional traders with liquidity providers, with passive liquidity providers. So we build a backstop by aggregating user liquidity towards liquidations. So now platforms can rely not only on DEX liquidity, which again in L2s is still pretty thin, but can rather use the backstop liquidity to execute their liquidations.
Very interesting. So then, in a way, then essentially, like what B Protocol offers is, yeah, again, not only using DEX liquidity that, as you say, may be a little thinner on like newer ecosystems, again, like maybe Arbitrum, but also allows users within that ecosystem to provide liquidity. So kind of like pretty much as you mentioned, as like a backstop, as like an additional backstop, pretty much. So if someone does get liquidated, that those funds can be used, but at the same token, they can actually gain from the yield that you get when you provide liquidity, right?
Yeah, yield and from liquidation profit. So liquidation operation is very profitable on average. Of course, it has the risk, and worst case there could be losses, but on average, at the end of the day, you get collateral with discount. So these users get exposure to this potential profit. And in return, they provide better stability to the platform. Also, so we are live in Arbitrum for I think over 6 months now. It's important to say this is not only a theoretical, kind of improvement. So we really witnessed, like in platforms we are integrated on Arbitrum, for example, had to facilitate, for example, something like $100,000 of spell token liquidation. Now, spell might be very liquid on mainnet, but on Arbitrum has very thin liquidity, or at least back then had very thin liquidity. So only because the backstop users, provided this amount beforehand, only because of that it was possible to execute this liquidation quickly.
It might worth mentioning that the liquidity that the backstop users, B.Protocol users provide is mainly stables. So USDC, USDT, DAI, Frax, and whatever. For example, we're integrated on 100 Finance, a lending platform which is going multi-chain, but one of the first integrations they had was on top of Arbitrum, and there basically what we needed to do, as Yaron mentioned, is just repaying the USDC, get the spell from from that risky position, and then resell that spell back to USDC, and as liquidation bots will just do it as in a flash loan. They're just the liquidation of even as low as 100K will create a slippage which is greater than the 8%, for example, discount that 100 Finance gives for to incentivize liquidators. So because we had that liquidity in the backstop pool, we could have facilitated that liquidation and slowly kind of resell the spell back to USDC and redeposit that into the backstop pool with the profits that were gained during that rebalance process. So yeah.
No, that's great, and again, I think that's why this is definitely like like a very very. I mean, I would definitely use the word novel, like like a tech that you guys are building, because yeah, this works perfectly as like like a DeFi primitive, aka like DeFi Legos, right? I think this project is literally like the definition of that. Being able to kind of build this product that not only obviously applies to newer leverage platforms that are coming out, but also applies to like some classic ones that like, could also use something like this to protect I would say protect people who are doing the platform itself and the trades themselves, but also allowing people to provide liquidity and actually getting rewards on that. Um, I think that's very important actually, especially for DeFi and when we go into these kind of quote unquote bear markets or contractions, as you mentioned earlier. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, when we are getting connected with lending platforms, part of what kind of the pitch is, saying you can actually, instead of incentivizing third-party liquidation bot operators to do your liquidations, you can actually incentivize your own community and actually attract new community, new liquidity into your protocol. For actually getting those gains from the liquidations, and at the same time actually give a better support for your own platform. So it's kind of a win-win from all directions for those platforms and their users. So yeah, and definitely kind of as I mentioned earlier, the norm basically coined by Compound and Aave, and the liquid that where liquidations are basically facilitated um, through flash loans bots. Just as we realize, are dependent on DEX liquidity, which is not always there. And definitely when you want to look at L2s and Alt L1s who have kind of their own native native projects with their own native tokens, and they want to list them, the liquidity for those kind of long tail, by definition, is kind of thinner. So they won't be able actually to provide, a safe listing of those tokens and actually to grow the ecosystem activity. So yeah, that both of these can be solved by integrating a backstop.
And have you guys thought about, and I know that obviously you guys have, as you'd mentioned, like, this can apply to any pretty much any type of chain. But have you guys thought about doing like cross-chain type like backstop like liquidity providing somehow? Is that a correct? Am I even saying the correct thing here?
Yeah, so actually the vision here eventually is to have liquidity like on one of the main chains, for example Ethereum, and yeah, then try to kind of utilize it also on all other L2s and Alt L1s. But yeah, this requires some collaboration from bridges, etc. So right now we focus on kind of one backstop per platform, per chain. So yeah, it's still, but like as a vision, it's definitely something which is needed, kind of to reduce the fragmentation across all chains.
Yeah, kind of a plug and play, backstop liquidity for any platform that needs that liquidity, for liquidations, is definitely down the road for us.
Great. Yeah, actually, that might have been a better question for when asking about the roadmap, but we'll get to the roadmap later. I do have a couple more questions. Um, what is the? I guess we can kind of jump into this now. What is the Risk DAO that you guys recently launched with 1KX?
Yeah, so basically, working with a lot of lending platforms, also trying to explain our products to users. There's a huge gap, education gap, of what the general public understand, even sometimes what lending platform understand. So the Risk DAO intention is to kind of try to bridge this gap, both by providing research reports for the general public, but also as kind of doing risk assessment audits for lending platforms, which will also be available for the general public. We definitely see it as a vision that one day, the same way users know to insist on having security audits for simple smart contract bugs in a DeFi lending platform. They it's kind of a must to have one before you ask people to use it. So we definitely think in the future people will want and will know to insist about having risk reports and risk transparency over the about the lending platform you use, because obviously as we saw with Luna, for example, and UST, smart contract bugs are only like the first layer of potential ways to lose funds. But just poor risk management, like in Luna, but also we saw it in some lending platform recently. We saw it with the Ichi pool on Rari Capital, also with other platforms who had failed liquidations. It's definitely also a way to lose a lot of money. And yeah, I mean, right now there's a lot of lack of transparency, lack of education in this field. So Risk DAO is supposed to solve that.
So would I be correct in calling it in a way, is it more like a course? Is it kind of like more like people kind of collaborating with each other and going back and forth on, like as you mentioned, educating each other on how
Yeah,
these primitives work? Or
no. So like education is kind of one of the byproducts, but like the core activity is actually people commission this DAO, engage with this DAO, and pay them, to do risk analysis for lending platforms. So actually, the last customer was Vesta Finance, who is also on Arbitrum. So he just published their risk analysis. For Vesta Finance, also with recommendations on risk parameters and risk improvements they should set. So like the actual activity is, paid research and risk audits and risk recommendations for platforms. But kind of like the byproduct or outcome of it is, better education, better transparency, for the ecosystem. And of course, our incentive, like kind of in B.Protocol is that once users and platforms understand more the risk in lending platforms, it'll be also easier to understand the benefits of B.Protocol and how B.Protocol can help in improve risk parameters.
Oh yeah, no, that's actually a great idea. I mean, and yeah, you guys definitely know it the best that there's more and more people being onboarded to crypto, and DeFi, every day. And the lack of education is definitely, I think, what probably frightens me the most is just the fact that people kind of jump into this thing and really like they use everything, assuming everything is like, kind of no strings attached, and fully decentralized, fully permissionless. No one can, right, no bugs. When in reality, a lot of the times it's the opposite. So it's stuff like that is very, very valuable for not only the project but also the community, as you mentioned. I, by the way, also left the analysis in the AMA chat for people to take a look at that. With that being said, you did actually mention it. You literally just mentioned Vesta Finance. But what other collaborations or integrations has B Protocol done with Arbitrum-based projects?
Yeah, so other than Vesta, one of our other close, partnerships with 100 Finance, which we actually escrow not only on Arbitrum, but actually we started with Arbitrum. So right now on Arbitrum, it's mostly these two. Have to say that, personally developing over Arbitrum. So at least back then, gas was very expensive to deploy contracts, but like user experience in general was like very smooth. Yeah, I mean, like right now we work with a lot of other side chains or alt chains, and yeah, like Arbitrum was like was very enjoying experience, to develop there and mostly to use it there.
I might take the opportunity and actually invite whoever teams are working on a new lending platform or derivatives or any new project launched soon on Arbitrum or just launched to reach out for us, so we can discuss an integration of a backstop into their platform, as well as obviously, as Yaron mentioned, having a risk assessment, a risk audit for the platform, setting the right, risk parameters, the collateral factors, the liquidation thresholds, before going live is, definitely can boost, liquidity as users feel, more secure using a platform that was audited. Just like it, no one will today. Most platforms won't launch without a smart contract audit, as Yaron mentioned, having a risk audit is not less important for users, or at least this is what we believe in, and try to kind of educate others to get there.
Definitely. We do not promote testing and prod. Not here. uh, Go ahead. I
No,
thought you were
no,
gonna say
yeah,
anything.
no, you got to do what you got to do.
All right. All right. So with that being said, what is the roadmap then looking like for B Protocol? What do you guys have coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, so definitely due to the recent liquidity contraction, we see so more integrations are coming up, not only on Arbitrum, basically any EVM compatible. The protocol is integrations are pretty straightforward. So a few in the pipeline. This is kind of the main the main focus. Lots of educational that we're trying to push out regarding that. This is also something that we're working on. And yeah, and in general, just having better tooling for lending platforms management. So the backstop is part of that, but the risk DAO with its audits and the dashboard that is coming up soon, and a few other tools that will actually help lending platform admins to better manage their platform and give more transparency to their users regarding what's going on within the platform. So that's kind of where we are heading.
Awesome. And we're actually going to be going to community questions. So if you guys, anyone in the chat, wants to type in a question in the chat, and or even actually raise your hand, we'll bring you up and ask something. Keep those in mind. I just want to ask you guys one last question before we go to that. Give some people time to think about it. One question I did have, for you guys is, are there any thoughts on having a B.Protocol an option to use for like NFTs? And by that I mean, like, I know there are some platforms coming out now where you'll be able to kind of use your NFT as collateral and kind of borrow against it. Again, a little bit different than DeFi, obviously, but is that even possible to do with NFTs, you think, or does it apply?
No. So we see kind of, there is recent line of works with collateralizing NFTs and taking loans against them. And to some extent, it is possible, everything eventually depends on the risk parameters, right? But if you have some NFTs like punks or apes, which are kind of, like you have a lot of kind of entities, or I'm not really sure about the term, which are kind of similar to each other, so it's easier to reason about market price. So yeah, I mean, to some extent, it is possible, for the big ones and liquid ones. I mean, eventually NFTs or ERC20s, it's always about having liquidity and having a way to kind of assess the price. So if you have price discovery, if you have liquidity, it doesn't really matter if it's NFT or ERC20. But yeah, obviously for NFTs, it's much harder.
Yeah, and I definitely bring that up only because as you guys know, like, I think a lot more people have been onboarding the crypto through NFTs. Like I feel like a large majority actually at this point has been. So it's pretty cool just to see all the primitives that obviously exist for DeFi. Um, Obviously move over and kind of start to integrate NFTs somehow, or vice versa. So uh,
Definitely. Like also personally, when we started Kyber around 2017, so around 2017, ERC20 tokens had tax liquidity, which is not much bigger, probably even smaller than NFTs have today. So yeah, I think it's definitely something doable. It's all about finding like the right NFTs. I mean, it's not like eventually every NFT be used as a collateral, same way as not any ERC20 could be used, but definitely the big ones can be used as a collateral.
awesome. Yeah, again, thanks for answering that. So I think we can go to some questions the community may have. I'm actually going to take one from the chat. I know someone had already answered it, but just in case people didn't see it and they're just listening. There's a question from me here in the chat who asked, B protocol. So yeah, it's kind of a question, but he's also saying it a little weird. But he's asking, so is B protocol the backend part of a liquidation system? And if so, can I start earning with it on 100 Finance? I know you guys already answered that, but maybe for more clear.
Yes, so actually regarding 100 Finance, if you go to 100 Finance, either to the Arbitrum deployment or Phantom or Polygon, you will already see B.Protocol logo, and it will give you the option to deposit funds there and also to earn 100 Finance native token with liquidity mining. So yes, I don't know if this answered the question. No.
And maybe adding, that on top of the liquidity mining rewards from 100, of course, the liquidation profits on, whatever liquidation made by the backstop is added for, the backstop liquidity providers.
Gotcha. I think actually probably a good follow up from that one is it possible to use B protocol on its own? Yeah, Mahir actually asked a similar question earlier, where it's like if you're someone's kind of coming into the space and they just want to use B protocol, by itself, is that possible?
So if you would go to the B.Protocol app, you will see the different integrations that we have. Basically, B.Protocol, is an integrated layer. So we just are adding into, we're just integrated with other lending platforms. So there is no kind of standalone B.Protocol platform or pool that you use. It's always connected to a specific lending platform, or at least a specific asset that you need to provide. Um, we we are looking, at changing a few things where people will be able to deposit, their stables and kind of play around, with which platform they actually want to backstop with that liquidity according to the rewards, for example, that they get, a bit like the curve wars. And so yeah, but currently, you would just need to pick your platform and the pool that you want to deposit in, and yeah, and just play along with that.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's definitely very important too. Especially as such an important DeFi primitive, it's nice to have like your own dashboard and whatnot. Um, I think we have one queue here, but it seems a pretty generic here. Why do users in DeFi use lending protocols? Um, I guess we could maybe, I guess we could maybe answer that one, and then if anyone else has any other questions, we can go from there. But other than that, I think that might be it. See, we have someone asking if you're integrating with Bastion. I'm not sure what Bastion is. Maybe you guys do.
So we are discussing with the team for a few months now, but recently have kind of reignited the connection there. So currently no, but hopefully soon with no TMs. Um, so just currently no, but follow up on that.
Oh, you know what? That's like brings up a good question though. If so, for example, I'm a user and I want to see, a platform integrate with B protocol. What's the best way of going about, seeing that happen as a user?
So, it's so many things happening on DeFi all the time. The best thing would be probably, first of all, get in touch with us over our Discord and just, to mention that, platform XYZ is, might be a good potential for a backstop. Definitely, if you have, connections with a team, can definitely help with, facilitating um, the connection. And yeah, after that, basically for the integration process, it depends, of course, on what liquidation interface they're having currently, and what what actually is what requirements from our end are needed, to facilitate the integration of a backstop pool. But usually, this is kind of straightforward. Um, Basically, depends on, we need some incentives from the platform. Um, for the backstop pools users, mainly goes from the supply of the lending platform. But yeah, so just reach out for us over Discord, and just point it out that you think that your landing platform or the one you're using is a good integration potential. So yeah, we actually had, I think Vesta Finance integration came out as someone from our community who was also involved in the Vesta Finance community just brought us up over our Discord that he thinks it can be a good integration just by because we were already integrated on Liquidity, and Vesta is based on a Liquidity fork. So, and it was true. And basically, we went live together with Vesta as they launched, and the integration took just a few weeks. From first interaction to full mainnet production protocol. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I think probably another good cue here would be what are the plans, or I guess current plans, for ecosystem and DAO development? So pretty much just community plans. And Aitan, I would assume that's probably you as well. Who would be best at answering that?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Can you repeat the question again?
Yes, yes. What is your plans for ecosystem and DAO development?
Yeah, so we actually integrated with Coordinate, and lately also with Work to actually facilitate um, rewards for contributors to the DAO. We had a few cycles with Coordinate and Work, and actually just put them on hold as we kind of reassess and try to um, make to see how we can better strategize that and maybe restructure how the rewards are actually being given out. I've seen some nice moves on Arbitrum Odyssey lately. So yeah, it's definitely things we're keep on trying. Just getting more educational out there is always beneficial. This is what this is the approach we're taking. As B.Protocol is less of without insulting anyone, but this is kind of a piece of infrastructure, a bit technical. It's not kind of another NFT project or something like that. So some education is needed, and we see the community, the B.Protocol community, is succeeding in attracting some great minds into it, and the community has we have our community calls every month, and a newsletter which is going out periodically. So yeah, and the community is very kind of supporting anyone who's getting into our Discord, with questions. Most of the work on Discord, and most of the answers given by by community members. Of course, me, Yaron, are always there as well, if and when needed. But yeah, that's kind of the main work, and just going around with um, basically new networks launching, and just like with you guys on Arbitrum, making introduction to new platforms that are relevant for integrations. This is usually how we do it from our end.
Thanks for that. And yeah, I think this is probably a good point, I think, to maybe close out here. I think for people who are in the community looking to join B.Protocol in any capacity, what's a good place for them to get started? Discord, Twitter, reaching out to you guys?
So yeah, definitely Discord is the best way to start with. Community is very supportive. We keep a clean server, very focused. So yeah, just everyone is welcome. So just hop in if you have any questions, if you need any support, if you want to offer any kind of integrations or yeah, whatever you have in mind. Just hop into the Discord and introduce yourself, and we are there.
Great. Well, I threw in the Discord for B.Protocol in the AMA chat. So if you guys want to go ahead and join it there and get involved in B.Protocol and whatnot, then feel free to go there. But otherwise, again, I really thank you guys for coming here today, Yaron and Aitan. If anyone joined actually, by the way, midway through, no worries. This is going to be put up on YouTube later on for you guys to just watch back and view at your pleasure.
Thanks, Hunter. Thanks for having us here. Thanks for there's a huge audience here. I wasn't expecting, but we're just getting to over 1,200 listeners, so that's amazing. So thanks again for giving us the stage. Yeah, thank you.
No problem at all. We appreciate the what's it called, the alpha, the very important information. I love more technical AMAs like this. That makes them very fun.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Hunter. Thank you for having us, and yeah, thank you everyone for attending.
All right, guys. You have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.